What's up, guys? Welcome to my podcast, Invest with Obi, where we talk about buying real estate creatively. Today, I got my buddy Mando. Thank you for being here. Met Mando a couple of weeks ago in Boston, and I said I had to have him here to share his story on how he got into real estate. Thank you so much again for being here. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for having me on.
That's awesome, brother. Listen, so like I said, I had to have you here. I want you to share your story with people. So my first question to you is like, how'd you get into real estate? What was it about real estate that got you interested, in saying, hey, you know what? I want to be a real estate investor.
Awesome. I learned it at home. My mom was an investor, so I got it through osmosis. I got to see her do it, right? And what's interesting, I also got a different perspective from my dad. He was more of a 9-to-5er, lunch pail kind of dude, worked 40 years, never call out sick. Don't give him out of his comfort zone. He's just going to say no to everything. My mom was the total opposite. So they would have those interactions, and I would I was older enough to see, her aspirations. And I used to, drive around here in New York City. I'm in New York. Man, I want to buy that building, stuff like that. I'm a kid. I'm like, okay. Until later, I found out what she was really doing. So, and I would hear, he was like, oh, no, all the objections. This is all in hindsight. I would discover this, but she didn't let that deter her. So what she did, she would then invest in Costa Rica because my mom, she's passed away now, but she was Costa Rican. So what she would do every summers, we used to, as a kid, we used to go to Costa Rica's. Her sisters in Costa Rica's used to set up meetings for her to visit different farmlands and stuff, or just plain land to build on. And she would just buy and build or buy farmland and cultivate and create jobs for others, coffee fields, strawberry fields, and sit on them for as long as she wanted to, then sell if she wanted to. So I got that experience. And we used to do that because my father hated to fly as well. So she was super creative to not let her dream die by his note, not being a dream killer. So she just adapted and created a whole life for herself with her sisters that he knew about what he was doing, what she was doing, but he wasn't interested because that wasn't his thing. But he still garnered the fruits of those success because we're a family. But that was my inception. So I learned a lot of lessons from that relationship, that I had both point of views, the limited beliefs, and go-getter, the chaser, the dreamer, the want to do things. So I kind of gravitated to her in a lot of those ways. And she actually obviously helped me get my first property, which I still own. This is tons of years and years ago. So my inception into the world as real estate was at home, actually. It was a home education, I would say.
Wow. So, dude, that's so wild because my mother and my father are kind of like both like to play it safe, but my father would take some risks, but he would just take wild risks and never plan. And everything would always just tank. And I've seen it over and over. He would take some business risks, and dude, I think I've seen my dad do like 5 business risks throughout his whole entire lifetime, and they would all tank without having structure. So it's super cool to see that your mom instilled that in you. I'm pretty sure it took some time to, okay, well, let's go to Costa Rica. Let's set these appointments. Let's go see the properties and see what we can do. So I think that's super cool how she instilled those things in you. Dude, that's being ahead of the game. It changed your mindset already to an entrepreneur mindset.
Very much so. Very much so. My mom was that way. She was a trailblazer. She was very avant-garde. She was very trendy in those ways. She was very curious as well. So she was just open-minded to a lot of stuff. She would always try new experiences. So that was in her avatar, her character. So it was just kind of second. And she was a creator as well. So all these, which I am as well. So all these things are second nature as well. As a young guy, she would put me under her name to get the credit cards and all that stuff. And she would be mindful and follow these things to make sure my spending and all that. And it was an education. Sometimes here in New York, you like, say you go to college, and when you start like the first day of school, they have all these tables outside with credit cards and all these solicitations to apply for credit. And you don't have that education. You just have that quick access to that money. So then you'll use this regardless of what you're spending. And then you don't figure out that there's a responsibility at the back end that you have to pay. So those lessons are hard to learn if you're not learning them at home. So I had a lot of advantages in these type of aspects.
You had
literacy, not only literacy, responsibility, which I've been ultra responsible all my adult life. Again, it all goes back to this nurturing that I got early on.
Dude, rest in peace to your mom. She did an amazing job, man.
She's the best.
That's what's up. All right, so let's talk about some wins, like your early stages of your real estate investing. You said that your mom helped you acquire the first property. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, my first property, which I still own, it's in West Park. It's in Miramar. It's in Broward County in Florida.
Florida.
Yeah, so it's a single family I've had forever. I did a BRRRR. I renovated like 2-3 years ago, virtually. Actually, here from New York. So I had to be very smart how you vet contractors and stuff like that. But it was a great experience. Everything went well. You know, again, back to being cautious and premeditated. Sort of the lessons, like you said, your father kind of was not very cautious. So I was very premeditated. So I was looking actually for a woman-led contractor team, because I just felt that that person would be a more safer on the safer side for that experience. Not bashing dudes, but again, contractors sometimes is hit and miss. So I just try to leverage everything, and I say, you know what, maybe if I can find a woman in this space, and I just feel comfortable doing that, and I manifested that, and that came to fruition, and the project turned out well. So I went with my gut, and my gut answered my prayers. That say, again, that was a couple years back, like in 2021, right after, still COVID, but it's still sort of, things are sort of remote, but things are getting around. And I also have multi-families here. I'm here in New York City and New Jersey. I have a quad, have a single family home in New York, and I have a duplex in Costa Rica, going back to my investors. So I have and I was partnerships in 2 bigger deals that I nurtured the relationships. And real estate's all about nurturing relationships,
Right.
getting to the right people. And I happened to go to a meetup here, a local meetup, multifamily meetup years and years ago. And we built a nice little team, and we executed on 2 properties. There's a 30 unit in Cincinnati and a 40 unit in Arkansas. Arkansas deal was it was a stable deal, not much to do, just stabilize it.
Mhm.
Cincinnati deal was a full gut, a serious full gut.
Yeah, that was a 30 unit, right?
That was a 30 unit full gut, and that has some issues that we can get into it once we get to the next segment. I have something to talk about, but yeah, and we exited those prior to COVID, so now I have a smaller 10 door portfolio, which now I'm transitioning into a rent by room co-living space. This is kind of my new mission. So I'm looking for wholesalers in Dallas, fix and flippers, property managers. When you're out there, DM me at Money Making Mando on IG, Money Making Mando on IG, and let's connect.
Thank you for that, man. All right, cool. So, you got some wins, and, let's get into some losses, man. Let's get into some lessons learned that you've had.
Well, I've got a couple. So going back to that Cincinnati project, it was an unfortunate loss, but you had to go through these experiences. A team out of New York, so we're city slickers out of New York going into Cincinnati. Permitting,
By the way,
yeah. So since we're in Cincinnati, is a beautiful location. These city slickers, who are these guys coming into Cincinnati? We were getting a hard time regardless to permitting and stuff. Word got around about us. What are you doing? Word gets around in a small town. So we had some barriers to cross. So we had to deal with some issues. 3 weeks into our project, our contractor dies.
what?
3 weeks into a full gut project, our contractor dies. He had terminal brain cancer. He didn't even know it.
Oh my God.
It was exact. So not only was a tremendous loss for his family, obviously, number one, and then for us, it was how do we pick up the pieces? So it was a super struggle, and that's where things became real, because then we had liaisons that we worked. We had a team that would work the New York to Cincinnati, have that conduit, that relationship to make sure everything is moving properly. And that person kind of didn't have skin in the game. So that person wasn't on top of everything that was happening. So he sold them, not that he sold himself, but I guess we trusted him so that he can fill that role. And in hindsight, he couldn't, when things went, when stuff hit the fan, he couldn't perform. That's kind of that's how you get tested when things get real.
Yeah.
He didn't have those abilities, and those issues just compounded because he was our connection to make sure everything's happening, because everyone is doing different roles. That just got out of hand, and it just became a project from hell to getting a new property manager. He had our initial upfront money, whatever that was an issue to recoup. How do you recoup that? It was just it just became a project from hell. We had to get in, obviously, vet another contractor. Now he has, we got to formulate new ideas, how we're going to move forward. All these issues arose, and it became a difficult project that we got it to the finish line, but it cost us some money. We had to do some capital raises as well with investors. Again, it just became a hard project to deal with. As being your first project as a team, it was super difficult. That person wasn't very reliable, which God willing, that was the only person on the team that wasn't reliable. Everyone else stood their ground and was accountable and stuff. We did some trips to Cincinnati as well to put some eyes on the project so people can see that these guys are active and they will come by.
Yeah.
So we had to be mindful of that and not just make it a long-term project. It was a little bigger project. You had to just be more intentional and be like, oh, these guys are here. They will show up. So we would drive out there, 10, 11 hours, whatever it was. But that was a challenging project for sure. And then I have another situation that this is my cardinal rule number one as an investor. My number one rule. And Pace has mentioned this. And once Pace mentioned this, it kind of hit home and it turned my stomach's a long story. But never invest your money into someone else's LLC or personal account. If you're making business and transaction with someone, never deposit your money into someone's LLC or personal account. That's not the way you do transactions in the real estate space. That money goes into escrow. So there's a safe place where that money gets wired to. And I tell you that from experience. I had an experience with someone that I wired money to someone LLC, and now I'm dealing with the repercussions of that through litigation. So these are circumstances that you learn you learn your lessons. And this has been already about 4 years, but it was a substantial amount of money. And then I asked myself, how did this happen? Why would make you invest into someone's, let's say, LLC or something like that? And I discovered the answer going back to those multifamilies. We would put the money into the LLC, right? The wire the money. But for some reason, we were accountable. We were a team that were very family oriented. A lot of us had investments from our family and stuff like that we were leveraging. So that gave me the ease to also invest myself, knowing that. And I still didn't have that knowledge. I was still ignorant to how you wire money to. So that led me to say, oh, that's why you were comfortable in sending this person money, because you had done it prior and it worked out well. So that's kind of why you did it again. Because I was reflecting now and I came up with the answer. That's why. But again, that's something that you never do in the real estate sector. Never wire money into someone's LLC or personal account. There will be problems in the foreseeable future. Believe you me.
Damn. Okay. Shoot. Yo, thanks for that, man. So I got a question about that. So what if you send money to that LLC and you own that LLC with your partners? Is that the same thing?
That's I think a different circumstances, because you're owning the LLC, so you have some ownership in that. But I'm just saying, to someone else's
LLC that you have no.
Say I'm sending it to Ricardo's LLC.
Yeah.
From my account to your LLC. Let's say you have total control of that money, right, in your hands now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what happened. That inexperience or relying on my prior experience led me to do that. That's why I impart that piece of wisdom for whoever it is, newcomers or people with experience that might be looking to invest. Be mindful of these pitfalls.
Yeah, man. So I'll add a little to that. So I lost some. Well, I didn't lose. I just didn't gain. You know what I'm saying? So partnered up with somebody. Not going to say names, of course, but partnered up with somebody. We're doing some business together, whatever. It was supposed to be a nice little payout. Unfortunately, I did not put, because we were still testing ourselves out, right? Like feeling the water, see if we're going to be a good fit. Listen, we'll just take it deal by deal, Did one deal good, two deal good. Third deal was a significant amount of money. It was going to be a 6-figure deal. And started noticing little changes. So I'm like, all right, hey, this is what we need to do. We need to get a JV. Just fast forward, and I lost. I didn't get nothing. I put the escrow deposit. Luckily, I got my escrow back. But that's it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, lesson learned. Yeah. Saying JV, even if you're just going to test the waters, hey, let's just have the conversation. What does a JV need to look like? Okay, at least we got some. Yeah. So it was a lesson learned.
Yeah, we go into these relationships and, we give them this relationship, we give them a 10, let's say, man, this guy's a 10. And when we actually should rate them a 0 and make them earn their 10, right? But we're kind of by nature, we feel good about something, and you always want to be optimistic about a situation going into it. So you're always going to be optimistic. So you always give someone more than maybe they're worthy of, right? A 10. And once you, statistically, we both should start at 0 and earn our way to a 10, right? Because that's you're building the foundation, you're getting to know each other, you're compounding on each other's skills and knowledge, and now you're just becoming stronger as a team and growing. But sometimes that 10, and it just,
Yeah. But see, like
my calls, he's not doing this, man, he's acting funny, he ghosting me, right? So now you're like, man, now we're at 0 instead of doing the other way, right? Building. Those are lessons you learn.
It's funny to me now, that we got this experience, it's like we can share with the newbie investors and stuff like that, so that way they don't get burned. You know?
It's always lessons. It's always lessons everywhere. And again, the newer you are, the more excited you are to get into your first deal, whatever it is. You may be ego driven to accomplish something because you maybe been stuck and you just want to get something under your belt to talk about to your friends or whoever. You want to be part of that conversation. I'm doing it, right? So that's something by nature that you want to accomplish. But sometimes we sacrifice safety for those means. So be mindful of that. Sometimes your best deal is no.
That's a bar. Sometimes your best deal is no. That's a bar, dude. That's a creative Deli shirt. Sometimes your best deal is no. I like that.
I'll use that.
I like that. That's dope.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's talk about, like what's your vision, right? To say 5 to 10 years from now. So Pace has got us working on, our Mount Everest. Like, let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Shout out to Pace. Pace is, 1 in a million.
Bill.
If you're not in it, you won't know.
Jamil, Jerry Norton.
Shout out to Jamil, another gem. Shout out to Jerry Norton, another gem. We're just surrounded by the first class of the first class.
Yeah, man. And not just that, though, because, man, you got a lot of first classes, I'm saying, but these guys are givers.
Yeah, first class givers. Let's give it up, right? These guys are, again, they're so special. You gotta be surrounded. I text Pace this morning. I get a text back, and I say to myself, yo, I text Pace and he texts me back, bro. Listen to that. A lot of people don't know about this real estate world, right? Because it's a small sector, but people who do know, right? I text Pace and he texts me back. Come on, man.
Man.
I'm so grateful to be in that space. I've been searching for this community for years, right? I've been in real estate for a long time, as I told you. I've been burned by some people, those experiences. And sometimes that can be a negative that you don't want to move forward, right? It kind of knocks you off your pedestal, kind of takes you a notch down, right? So it's a struggle, right? These are just human aspects of life. And like I said, I joined Astro Flipping first. This is my introduction to all this creative gator, all this wholesaling. I had even though I was in real estate, but I was more on the traditional side. I had no knowledge base of this until Jamil kind of appeared in my atmosphere, and then Pace soon after that. And then Pace took it to another level with just a creative side of what he does. And I just imagine, I say to myself, I finally found a home, right? I found a home that I'm comfortable with, that I get to be more of myself, right? And Pace allows us that permission and nurtures our mindset, right? So many scenarios that he presents us with, and how to grow, how to expand, and how to let go of stuff. It's so much done on the back end that we be able to move forward, right? And he's created that for all of us. And for me, I've had ideas in my head that I've wanted always to let out and express. I'm more on the very artsy side, and I've been able to express that lately, like with my merch, right? I've created a line of merch. This is my real estate deli, which is the hat and my shirt, and I'll show you a quick peek in the back. Right?
That's dope. I'm not gonna lie.
Right? So all these are expressions that I've been able to be liberated by being around Pace, right? I've been able to tap into the things that I've wanted to do that were dormant in me, right?
Damn.
So now this is just one example of something that, I've been able to express. So now I have created a merch line that I'll release soon. Hopefully by Black Friday, I'll be connected to my socials, the Real Estate Deli and Money Making Mando. So it's just a mission in the real estate space to create something for us, right, that we can relate to as well. And, again, it's an expression for us to, again, I'm building a community through fashion or whatever it is, merch, to connect. And that's just one little thing, right? And then the bigger mission, right? The mission itself, which for me is to have 10,000 doors, rent a room, rent by door to door, right? The co-living model, right? So that's 10,000 doors. So it's a big number, but you have to get uncomfortable, and you have to make that number uncomfortable to want to get there, right? You can't say I want 5 co-living houses or 5 rent by room houses. It's not a big enough goal. It's not a big enough dream. So I said,
on that though, because you said 10,000 doors. Is that 10,000 rooms? Okay. You're dude, that's amazing. You're gonna
so
have
10,000 rooms, right? So 10,000 rooms. So you have to put out that big number. And shout out to Duran Levy. Duran, in our meetup, our mastermind 2 weeks ago. You know, Duran's one of the leaders in the community. He's done bigger projects and bigger things. He actually has a new hotel boutique in Philadelphia. So he's a couple levels, let's say, ahead of us. So he sets that mindset for us. So I was able to be around there. So you know what? Think bigger, right? And he gave us that permission to think bigger, and I accepted it, right? So I just reformulated my ideas. I said, you know what? Let's get bigger, right? And then now it's reverse engineering it, and then find your who's, not how's, meaning the people who can fill in these gaps to be able to do these things, right? Because you can't do this alone. This is something you cannot do alone. So that's why we belong to this family, this mastermind, this network, that we can gather our resources and create opportunities for each other. So my first market that I'm focusing is in the Southwest, which is Dallas. Dallas has a big pad split model. I think there's the #1 market in Dallas. So I know this market is taking a foothold in Dallas. So I just want to mimic that and follow it where there's success is being done already, and where that model is kind of somewhat accepted, let's say, right? So that's the metropolis that I'm looking for. That's my initial. So there's wholesalers in Dallas. I'm looking for single families in Dallas, minimum 2,000 square feet. Let's start there, right? And fix and flippers, property managers, cleaners. Again, reach out to me at Money Making Mando on IG and the Real Estate Deli on YouTube. And that's kind of the mission, is to get that ball rolling in that hub to then expand nationwide. So I need everyone's help. I need your help. I need, like I said, you know,
listen, I appreciate you coming on, because now I know, okay, well, I need to start marketing in Dallas, you know? I need to start marketing in Dallas. You know, I've done a couple deals now, mostly off Florida, but I'm looking to venture out. You know,
I love Florida. I love Florida. Again, we spoke about my affinity for Florida, you know, when we got in a conversation. And I have a property in Florida. My only struggles with Florida is these natural disasters, to be honest with you. My property insurance has hiked double from last year. And I knew this because I've had this property forever. So I've been through the cycles of natural disasters where these prices do hike. So I just experienced that. And that's my only concern, is how to pencil in these deals that you won't be underwater per se. So again, I've leveraged that. You have a friendship with Dustin. Dustin is you know, I love Dustin. Dustin, you know, I just think highly of him. And I just trying to figure out, how does this model pencil in, let's say, with all these costs that you might not be able to control, let's say. These are just like insurance costs, and Florida has issues with insurance companies and all that. So that, like I said, that's a market I've been concentrating as well, but I kind of reshifted to Dallas because of those factors, right? But if there's solutions, if anyone knows solutions, how to overcome those, again, I'm willing to listen as well, and I'll be connecting with Dustin. I'm always in touch, and shout out to Dustin.
That's what's up. Shout out to Dustin for real, man. That dude's killing it, man. I love him. Dude is killing it. So, listen, brother, I appreciate you coming on, man. I really, really do. Thank you for sharing your experience, right, with everyone that's watching. You know, we're gonna continue growing this relationship. For sure. I appreciate you. So, where can everyone find you? Like, where can they find you? Where can they send you deals?
And IG, you can find me at Money Making Mando, at Money Making Mando. That's on Instagram. And on YouTube is my YouTube page, The Real Estate Deli. That's where you can find me, at The Real Estate Deli. Or you can email me, mandofund@gmail.com. Again, mandofund@gmail.com. And I'm here for it. Let's go.
What's up. Hey, be looking out for that merch too. I'm going to give me a hat and a shirt.
It's coming. Believe that.
All right, brother.
Brother, appreciate you. Appreciate you, big dog.